15 grand for a haptic feedback.
You dude, they are paying slaves in other fucking countries to get these materials, and they're you know what I mean? Like, this is cheap as for them to produce. So what they're doing is it took them a while to develop the technology, so they're just putting all of that bill on the product, so no one's gonna use it, dude. I don't know, man.
In only a few decades, we've gone from playing on retro machines with 2D games, and they're all controlled by a couple of buttons, to being able to completely control games using nothing but our mind. With all this rapid improvement in technology, it really...
Right, but like, who's actively playing games controlled by their brain, dude? I've seen people do clips about it and stuff, but like, no, there's not like large... Yeah, she just does that for fucking views, though. It's a stream gimmick. It's a stream gimmick. Yeah, but she's doing it to get fucking clout on Twitch and YouTube or whatever. I don't know. I don't see people actively wanting to play games like this anytime soon, man.
begs the question, what will gaming be like in the near future? Let's find out.
In 2024, the most common tech we use for gaming are computers with mouse and keyboard, as well as consoles with controllers. This allows us to play 3D games on a 2D monitor. However, as improvements in technology takes place, we're seeing a shift from 2D to 3D displays. We're entering a new era of gaming.
So I will say that the youth is really into VR compared to us. For disabled people to play games, I'm sure there's a huge market.
The technology we use to both create and play games is improving rapidly. Today we're going to go into how that's going, as well as how we're shifting the experience from 3D to 4D to further trick our brains into thinking the virtual worlds are real. And if that isn't enough, there's an emerging technology that will allow us to go even further and achieve 5D gaming. But more on that later. Now, in order to appreciate the technology of the future, you should understand where our current level is at, as well as what we tend to focus on when trying to improve our gaming technology. Well, to begin with, one of the main priorities developers have when improving games is increasing their level of immersion. It took decades of development to get to the technology we have today, where games are able to thrive in creating realistic environments that have thought out mechanics.
I like VR for non-gaming interest. Yeah, I mean, nutting in VR is awesome, I'm sure.
Engaging gameplay. While we do have the 3D displays on VR, which attempts to place you in the game, it tends to be a little bit more clunky and unrefined and is generally quite limited. Whereas games that are made for standard devices are typically more polished, with bigger worlds and a lot more to do. Now, of course, getting to this point did take a while. We started with 2D games like Pong back in 1972 that allowed for vertical movement, and then Pac-Man in 1980 that added horizontal control. As the technology began evolving, we shifted from 2D to 3D
I remember what it's like to be a guy jerking off. I don't think we're ever going to be able to give you that sensation, sweetheart.
Colored environments than we'd ever seen before. And then when we look at the games of today, we're at a point where we're trying to see how big we can make the world.
You can jerk off another dude's dick realistically, but how are they going to give you the sensation of jerking off your own dick in VR? Okay. It's not that we can't do that. That would have to be plugged into your brain to give you a sensation you can't have. Yeah, I get it. You want to jerk you. Yeah, but that's just not, we don't have that. Is that 5D gaming?
We can make things like the graphics, the engines, and just everything that runs the game. Now, while we may have shifted the game worlds to 3D, as said before, the devices we typically play them on are still only 2D. So it isn't able to completely absorb the player into the world.
She'll never feel the shame afterwards.
We can't develop ways to help us achieve greater immersion. So how do we go about doing this?
There's shame after?
Things we tend to...
It depends. It depends. Sometimes there's clarity. Sometimes after we nut, we don't want to talk to anyone. And we're like, damn, there's really no reason to talk to them. But we only feel that way with the nuts being empty.
Focus
I call it relaxed,
realism, which refers to sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, as well as behavioral realism, which refers to how believable the player's interaction is with the world, the characters, and everything in it. The goal here is to have all of these be as lifelike as possible.
I get it. Yeah, can you like get to the point, dude?
Natural movement in game. with motion capture technology helping to provide more fluid and realistic
But
animation.
like, this is what I'm saying, dude. Most people aren't going out and buying full body tracking suits and shit, dude.
For behavioral realism, we have omnidirectional treadmills like Infinideck and Omni.
Yeah, like how much are these? Like $5,000? Like, yeah, I'm just saying, like, getting some shit like this has got to be so expensive.
That allow for fairly natural movement in-game, with motion capture technology helping to provide more fluid and realistic animations, as well as
1,500?
animation,
That's not
which
as bad as I
dynamically
thought it
adjust
was
the
gonna
character's
be.
movement based on the game environment.
I would love like a VR running thing like that, because you could do a bunch of video games and just turn into a workout. It'd be sick. I would love that, but I'm not going to pay fucking, you know, some crazy amount of money for just a shitty treadmill with sensors on it.
There are also physics engines capable of simulating realistic interactions, and the technology behind NPCs has been steadily improving over the years. So what we have now is pretty good, but it's clear there are a lot of limitations that we're encountering. For one, not only are we trying to simulate everything in a realistic way, but it also has to be available for the average person. Some of the main reasons VR isn't as popular as it could be is due to how much it costs to buy all the gear.
I tried VR chat once, and it was the day they had a giant penis costume invade the game before they removed them.
How much room it takes to have it all, and how a lot of it isn't actually that well developed yet.
Imagine Jonah Vale on a normal treadmill. Well, dude, no, I got this treadmill, but it's just too small for me, bro.
You can grab a Quest 3 for about 450 quid.
I got wide-ass
pretty
feet.
cheap when you consider that it can do full body tracking, AR features, and play games all without needing a computer. However, if you want a more immersive and believable experience, you're gonna have to fork out an extra 1.3k for an omnidirectional treadmill, as well as 13 grand for a haptic feedback.
Fuck you, dude. This shit doesn't cost them $13,000 to manufacture. That suit probably cost them $100 to $200 in materials. But like, realistically, they are fucking paying slaves in other fucking countries to get these materials. And you know what I mean? Like, this shit is fucking cheap as fuck for them to produce. So what they're doing is it took them a while to develop the technology. So they're just putting all of that bill on the product. So no one's going to fucking use it, dude. No one's buying this.
Suit. Like, dude, what? Realistically, these technologies aren't even worth considering as an average consumer.
Sorry, you're too poor. Hey, man, I know you want to feel like some fake alien bitch, rub on your nipples and shit, but you don't got it like that. You get your bread up.
But if that wasn't bad enough, our ability to replicate taste and smell is pretty lackluster as well.
Do I really want a little computer thing hooked into my nostrils injecting fucking scents while I'm playing a video game? I don't trust that. There's like a little smell factory thing just shitting out random smells when you're doing VR. I don't trust that.
Among all the hardware limitations we have, there's also the software side, where the game modes tend to be a lot more restrictive, and the systems definitely aren't as fluid as traditional.
Yeah, just what I want to do. Go into VR and have it skip around so I can vomit in VR, dude.
Systems. One of the main things that tied all of the technology shown in Ready Player One together was the Oasis, which is their metaverse. This allowed the players to join a huge connected game world with a variety of things you.
I love Ready Player One. And again, my favorite, I know it's a cheesy ass movie, I don't care. My favorite thing is that these cheesy ass ideas, movies, books, whatever, animes, when they put people in a game world, it's always loot based, dude. It's always loot based. But then when we get actual games, it's pussification incarcerated, dude. I don't understand. Every time it's an isekai, it's fucking permadeath or some shit. And they're in an MMO. But when I get an MMO, I have to opt in to even look at people funny. And if I type a curse word, they say, no, 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 you type that again, we're gonna ban you. The fuck? But I don't get it. I just want to play the video games that are about shows and movies that I've seen. Those games look sick. Why do I get shit games comparatively?
Can do. And while we do see this in VR chat, as well as meta with, well, the metaverse, it's clear there's a fair bit of development needed in every area before we get to level of
When are we getting Veil Online? So funny you mentioned that. You know, I've been wanting to make a game for a while, and obviously I just don't have the resources, but apparently we have a couple people in the community that have made video games before, and they've already whispered me and are gonna try to cook something up for us. And then I think what we'll do is once they have like a template for us to, you know, log into and fuck around on stream, I'll do like weekly game development streams, and we'll just shit around ideas and see what we can like. I'm not saying it's going to be something we actually do, but I would love to fuck around in Unreal or whatever, you know. You'd be better off. Oh, the internet did blip. Weird. I got you. I should. Well, no, but like I have people in the community that have literally made games before, so it's not like I need to learn how to make a video game. Do you know what I mean? I could just learn some of it and then they could know the rest of it. The internet fixed. We're good. Just refresh real quick. I think we have a lot of people in the community that would like to help and pitch in with something like that, probably for free. You know what I mean? So because I ain't paying you guys.
needed to pull us into the game.
Just trying to get rent paid. You know what I mean?
There's also the question of whether there's even enough interest in VR to see these technology developments happen anytime soon. Well, fortunately for us...
Would it be a PvP only MMO? No, you can't have a PvP only MMO. No, like the reality is that a good MMO... Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. A good MMO has to have PvP that happens because people are interacting over PvE, right? That's the best MMOs don't force you into PvP. They force two groups into an area for a common goal, and then organic conflict happens over that non-organic content. You know what I mean? Those are the best MMOs in my opinion. And if I was going to make an MMO, it would be designed with that at the forefront.
We're now seeing a lot of companies dip their toes in the VR market. And with that, we're bound to see a ton of innovation in the near future. Meta recently announced they're going to allow third-party tech companies and software developers to use their operating system, Horizon OS. Now, the implications of this are huge.
I want an MMO that after you die, you're banned forever. You can make a roguelite MMO. Those exist, though. Would you do a Kickstarter if we got enough into it? Sure. Why not? They have Realm of the Mad God, which is a permadeath MMO. It looks like shit, obviously, but it's basically like you just you die, spawn in, you see how far you can go type deal.
A centralized place where games and the technology behind them can all be developed would help synergize the software and the hardware, and ultimately it'd bring us closer to that high level of immersion we're looking for.
Over time, VR headsets...
I mean, bro, I would love to plug into VR and just have that be the best game ever. I think that's what like the main dream of a lot of gamers, at least those of us who love MMOs. Like I've always wanted to just be immersed in an MMO. And as you get older, it becomes more difficult, I feel like, to get immersed, right? You know too much. Immersion usually comes from a place of a lack of knowledge or, you know, wonderment, right? So I would love to be able to plug into VR and run around and get in shape in some sandbox MMO. Like imagine having to like have a VR tool where you're actually chopping trees, bro. You would get jacked. Bro, you would get jacked. I would play the shit out of it. Yo, we got to build a house in Valheim. All right, bitch. You know what I mean? That would be sick. I would love that. I would love that, but I just don't feel like, I feel like that's not going to happen in my lifetime, dude. You go outside and chop real trees. I don't want to actually build a shitty house. I'm not a fucking carpenter. Okay.
will have their resolution improved, as well as field of view. And
Last time I used a saw was when I was in the fucking Boy Scouts making a fucking Pinewood Derby thing.
depth perception. Our treadmills should become more accessible for the average consumer, with even coming.
And this is why we were renter slaves in 2024. Hey, bitch, you go buy a house, all right? You let me know when you find it.
like Disney already innovating this technology with their new Holotar floor. And in fact,
Wait,
a
what
company
was
called Free
that?
will become more accessible for the average consumer, with even companies like Disney already innovating this technology with their new Holotar floor.
Wow. That's crazy. So it's like tiles that just... Am I seeing that correctly? Like,
Become more accessible for the average consumer, with even companies like Disney already innovating this technology with their new Holotar floor.
that looks really fucking cool. How do stairs work on that? You probably have to lift up your foot. Well, actually, you got to lift up your foot anyway. So that floor allows you to move in any direction. It's all motorized and can move you. You have to look up. So wait, these are motorized tiles? Man, I just wish Disney wasn't one of the most evil companies to exist. It'd be a whole lot cooler if Disney wasn't just like a mega evil corporation. I hate that the worst companies have the most money to do the coolest shit. So frustrating, bro. So frustrating.
And in fact, a company called FreeAim recently showcased their VR shoes,
What?
which is another interesting and significantly less bulky solution.
Those are cool as shit too. These are sick.
Than omnidirectional treadmills. Our haptic feedback solutions will get so good that they can accurately replicate the sensations felt in the virtual world, and our audio will be seamlessly integrated. But of course, you're probably wondering how things like taste and
Try
smell
running in them though. You're not going to, right? Like you're not gonna run in them.
can be replicated, right? Well, it seems like a challenging but exciting hurdle. With tech from startup companies like Sentient that can already mimic a large number of smells, as
See this? I don't think we need that, bro. I'm sorry. You got some little vape tube around my neck spewing chemicals in my nose that smell like shit. Look, I'm not in cancer research, but you know that causes cancer, right? There's no way I'm going to play this for 8 hours a day and it's going to be puffing out good chemicals. Porn would go crazy, just like old salmon. You're like, oh yeah. Am I in a fish market? Sorry.
well as devices that use electrodes to replicate the taste and texture of food. Kinda weird tech, and they're very much so in the early stages, but they're very interesting solutions.
Dude, your friend, like you're in a video game and they can literally fart next to you, and then the software tries to mimic what it thinks a fart smells like. This sounds like a nightmare waiting to happen, bro.
Following VR tech for
Disney loves simulating smells. They do that. You're right. When you go to Disney World, they like pump smells into certain areas. 100%. But a lot of companies do stuff like that. Like back in New Hampshire when I lived there was a place with all the fast food joints, and they take all of their vents and they just shove it towards the street. So when you drive down the street, you just get like McDonald's, Taco Bell, like you can smell it all if you have your windows down, and they just do that to like lure you in. Some fucking weird ass moth to the flame type shit.
a long time. And as we've seen new iterations come out, we've seen small but rather significant improvements. So as both interest from consumers and companies grow, we're going to see a lot more innovation in the years to come. It's going to be like an exponential growth. So what technologies then are going to be the center of gaming in the near future? Let's find out.
Southern New Hampshire kind of, yeah, I lived in Bedford.
Right, so alongside virtual reality, both augmented reality and artificial intelligence are already changing the way we interact with the gaming world, but very soon it's going to be impossible to ignore them. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned how we're already able to control games using nothing but our mind. Now that refers to an emerging technology that's
see, that's what I think, Pieces. I think a lot of these ideas are really cool, but they cost so much money to produce that if they don't instantly take off, right? If they don't instantly take off, companies would be like, oh, we're pulling out, investors pulling out, no one wants our product. And then that happens enough times and people just aren't going to be able to get investment in these products. That's what I feel like, because it's very difficult to get gamers to do different shit. Like if they were raised on VR, those new consumers that are children now, they're going to be into this shit for sure. But those of us that make up the bulk of the industry and the money in the industry, we're not really into VR unless it's got dicks and tits in it. And even then, it's not really about the VR.
Revolutionize not only how we play games, but also just how we live our lives day to day. Now, it's also what could theoretically take us to 5D gaming. But before we get into that, let's shift our focus as to what 4D gaming is going to be like, as well as what challenges we might encounter along the way. So, let's get into it.
So, we've already gone over the improvements needed to bring our levels of realism closer to real life. Mark Zuckerberg was talking about this idea of a visual Turing test. This is akin to the Turing test for AI, which is a test that was created by Alan Turing back in 1950 that tries to evaluate whether a machine can pass as a human. When it comes to the visual Turing test, the goal here is to try and determine whether what we perceive in mixed reality is distinguishable from real life. As we've already discovered, a lot of the games of today do have realistic graphics and engines, but the way we play them prevents us from being tricked into thinking it's actually real. The change from 2D displays to 3D has brought us closer, with the visual and audio engagement providing more depth and realistic spatial awareness. But when we add physical effects like haptic feedback and treadmills, that's when we start to enter the realm of 4D, and how we begin to crack the visual Turing test. Artificial intelligence is one of the main technologies in the rapid improvement towards creating this level of realism. We're constantly finding new ways that AI can help streamline our creative processes. Now there are many different types of AI, but the one we're using are capable of procedural content generation, allowing it to create large amounts of game content from terrain, characters, buildings, and items. This not only saves time for the developers, but also allows them to scale it up now that everything has been simplified, meaning bigger maps with more variety and detail. I've heard that the new GTA is rumored to have around 70% of the buildings enterable, all of which would be uniquely generated and designed.
That's really cool. One of my big things about playing GTA back in the day was like you have this big open map, but it felt like it was on rails almost. It felt like it was on rails almost because you just couldn't go into every building and stuff, right? So the fact that you can go into over 70% of the buildings in the map, that's going to be wild.
Designed by AI. If true, this would be groundbreaking for the future.
The Ready Player One game coming out soon, supposed to be crazy. It's a replica of the movie. Wait, I didn't know they were making a Ready Player One. See, I'm so jaded because I feel like if they make a Ready Player One, it's going to suck. I feel like it's going to suck ass.
Future of open world games. I'd like to go more into that topic in another video, so follow along if that's something you want to see. While procedural generation can exist without AI, incorporating AI techniques can significantly improve the complexity, variety, and quality of the generated content. Another way in which AI is likely to change gaming is the introduction of NPCs that use natural language processing, like ChatGPT.
Hold it open.
Would
I'll
be a
look it
nice
up
feature in
after.
GTA 6. I don't feel like the technology is at the point where Rockstar would want to implement it. But there is already a mod for Skyrim that lets you do it, as well as a bunch of other applications that do the same thing for other games.
Yeah, NPCs with AI, I think is great.
Making you a traitor. Treason is punishable by death.
Do you have anything to say to that, Jarl?
I deny these false accusations. I have never betrayed the people of Skyrim. I am innocent.
King.
It works by using a type of AI known as a large language model, which is able to generate a response using context.
Rest in peace, voice actors. I mean, look, dude, at the end of the day, it's like this, right? I think it sucks that people are losing their jobs to AI. I think there should be regulations against it, right? I think there should be regulations against it. But if it's not regulated, I think it should be used. If you know what I mean? Like, if it gets to the point where I can't tell the difference, if I can't tell the difference, I'm not going to get upset about it. I know myself. If AI gets to the point where I can't tell that it's AI voice acting, you're not going to care either. I guarantee most people are not going to care if they can't tell the difference. The only people that are going to care are the people that know that their job got taken for it, right? And so I would like to sit here and be like, oh yeah, this is horrible, but I rather more games have voice lines than not at the end of the day. Like when I play an old game and there's no voice acting, it pisses me off. But you can go into World of Warcraft and there's literally an add-on with AI to voice act every NPC. Right? I thought that was a really cool add-on that changed how the game felt. And it wouldn't have existed because it's not like the dude making that add-on is going to go pay a bunch of voice actors, right? So when I look at it in that example, I'm like, I'm happy that exists instead of not. Isn't it scary not knowing if something is human or AI? Sure, dude. Of course it's scary, but I'm not going to change it.
This basically means that players can have much more natural conversations with them, making them feel like they're actually a part of the world, rather than a scripted robot that just repeats the same lines over and over.
What if in an MMO everyone is AI pretending to be players? Yeah, that'd be psychotic. That'd be nuts, right? It wouldn't even be an MMO anymore.
Over again. This seems like such a fun feature that can add so much depth to a game, and when combined with the procedural generation, as well as improvements in areas like physics and animation, I really believe AI is one of the most impactful creations in the history of the world. The capability for it to massively speed up our rate of evolution in not only gaming, but also other areas of life as well, is incredible. But again, we're going to save that for another video. Okay, but where does augmented reality fit into all of this? Well, for AR, I like to think back to when Pokemon Go was released. Everyone was walking around on their phones, quite obviously all doing the same thing. This game brought Pokemon to real life, using real-world locations and even implementing augmented reality in a fairly basic form. But as this tech develops, you're definitely going to see a similar theme of people walking around with AR glasses, where the game is seamlessly overlaid onto the real world. We've seen this.
What do you think about augmented reality? I thought Pokemon Go was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Not like from a technological standpoint. I thought it was a pretty dog shit game. It was barely a game to me, but just the fact that it got so many people out walking around, people interacting over it, I loved that aspect of it. I thought that was world changing type shit. I think if they made Pokemon Go again with better technology and we all went out and like played Pokemon, that'd be crazy, dude. I think augmenting reality has the most chance of mass adoption as well. Like, what if you just had some glasses that, you know, did it for you? I think AI is starting to peak, at least for the chat models like GPT-4. Yeah, well, I mean, AI right now is just a glorified, for the consumer anyway, it's just a glorified Google search, and it's often a worse Google search. So I think the general consensus from the public consumers on AI is that it's dog shit right now. And I think the only people who are excited about AI are the ones who are using privatized AI that sees what it's really capable of doing and what it's really helping with. Like if you're using AI day to day and it's helping you in your job in a way that isn't just a glorified Google search, you're probably the type of person that's excited by AI, also scared by it too, right?
Tech in the past with the HoloLens from Microsoft, as well as MetaQuest 3 mixed reality, and most recently Apple's Vision Pro. These give us a glimpse of the future, and as improvements are made and devices become smaller, there's no doubt in my mind that people will begin accepting this tech into their lives.
But like, do I really want to be on an airplane where I can't tell anything going on with my surroundings? I don't know, bro. That's a lot of confidence in technology and other people. I think for this type of stuff, to really be it, it has to be augmented reality. I don't think you can have people walking around in the world with fucking full virtual reality goggles, dude.
All right, so with the capability of overlaying virtual elements on top of the real world, as well as virtual reality becoming significantly more immersive, what changes?
My dingy apartment could use some AI. That'd be cool if you're in your apartment and you're chilling there and you just put on your goggles and now your apartment looks dope. I could see that being helpful.
Everyday lives, and how is this actually going to feel? Well, one could argue that it'd be taking us further away from real life. However, I'd counter that with the idea that being able to create and experience virtual worlds that are essentially replications of our wildest dreams is something worth striving for. It will add so much more depth to life. It could help deepen our knowledge by allowing us to experience anything at any given time.
Yeah, the internet's dipping right now. I'll pause. Okay, looks like it's coming back. I think just like Google Glass, like that idea of augmented reality. So I still have my periffs. Like as long as I have my periffs, you know?
Just imagine being able to travel to another planet or deep into our very own oceans where you can feel what it'd be like without the fear of dying. I'm both terrified and amazed by the ocean, so being able to experience it fully knowing that I won't actually die might actually be manageable. Or by combining AR and AI, you can get real-time
it's
updates
dipping
and
right now.
information
Hang on,
about
we're gonna wait a few. The internet's kind of tanking back and forth. Text the boy. The hardest tech part for augmented reality is providing an interactive screen that is actually transparent. Right. Like it needs to be a screen that you can look at, but you can also see what is behind it.
the environment around you, maybe by identifying a cool bird you've seen and adding it to some form of beast.
Like, yeah, like that shit I think that's very exciting to me. Like this is cool. Imagine you're an avid bird watcher and you go out and you put on your glasses and it gives you all this detailed information about what you just saw. Or you have one earbud in, which by the way, I know this technology kind of exists, but you have one earbud in, you're visiting another country, right? And when someone's talking, it translates what they're saying to like English for you in front of you. So you can just translate what they're saying in real time and what they're asking you. Like imagine, like, bro, that is like life-changing shit. That stuff, amazing. I would love to see that for consumers. That would just make the world a better place, bro. You know, you go into a nail salon, you put on your glasses, you're like, oh, that's the shit they're talking about me. Starts a fight, you start pulling her hair. I just think nothing but positive things about this.
Based on real world animals you've encountered over time. There's no.
By the way, the internet's just going to keep dipping back and forth, guys. I'm not going to talk about it. We're just going to keep going with with reviewing stuff. Don't talk about the fucking internet, okay? Because it's just going to be shit all day today. I can already tell. So I don't even want to hear anyone talk about it in my chat. You guys know the internet shit. We know it's shit. We're just going to ignore it and move the fuck on. Otherwise, I'm going to go fucking crazy. Okay.
shortage of ways in which these technologies could be used to expand our understanding and general experience of life. These kind of technologies are often
wasn't aimed
viewed as
at you.
negative as
Just
they
letting
take you
everyone
away
know.
from the real world. And while there are definitely concerns that we'll go into in a minute, I believe that it has the opportunity to help people explore their interests in a way that wouldn't otherwise be plausible.
No, it's
The
just
idea of
constantly
gaming being an
dipping.
activity where you're typically sitting down, barely moving, will be a thing of the past, and instead, it can make gaming much more active and engaging in so many different ways. With all of this being said, it is kind of easy to see that there are limitations and a few ethical problems that we need to overcome.
I feel like ethics are out the window with this stuff. Is anyone making any of this shit ethically? Bro, our cell phones are the the things that make your cell phone work are mined by slaves, dude. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one has cared about ethics ever when it comes to technology. So like, does anyone actually care about ethical problems? I don't think so, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, I could sit here and say I care about it, but I'm not going to go out there and fight for them, and no one else is going to either. So it's like, if the people making the decisions don't care, we're not going to care.
Of course, we have the hardware problems like bulky, expensive devices, as well as unoptimized, clunky software. However, it's not until we look at the ethical problems that we realize how much of an impact this could have on society. One of the main problems is this idea that this can become extremely addictive. There's no doubt that a number of people would use this technology as a means of escape.
That's fine. Don't care, bro. The world sucks. Let us escape. If anything, it's better that we do escape. You want me to sit around and think about my existential dread all day? Why do people read fantasy books? Because we don't like what's like. I was a fat fourth grader at summer camp, and I read Harry Potter, and I was like, damn, I wish that was my life. That's the same shit. We've been escaping reality since reality existed.
Where they can ignore reality and live in a virtual world away from the
I'd live there, bro. I'd fucking live there. That looks way better than the town outside. I'd live there.
issues of life. This dreamlike world would be free from major problems and would be the perfect place for someone to go if they ever needed to clear their head. If this sounds both positive and negative, that's because it is. Humans have a habit of always wanting more, which can be used to motivate us to achieve great things, but can also be used to send us down a path of self-destruction. How we use the technology will strongly dictate whether it proves to benefit or harm us. Everything in moderation, after all.
Nah, I'm good, bro.
Then there's the question of how content, specifically adult content, is regulated, as well as how accessible the technology is for the average person. Ideally, we want this tech to be available for everyone, but the proper regulations will need to be in place to avoid.
Is it bad that I want to punch him for the way he talks? Yeah, he has a lisp. You're a piece of shit. It's not his fault, dude.
Avoid it being used for the wrong reasons.
Alright, it goes without saying then, that the advancement in these technologies is going to have its hurdles. But I believe by this time, a lot of these issues are either going to be resolved, or they won't be so negatively impactful to where it destroys society. Ongoing research and development in these technological innovations will create more affordable, efficient, and user-friendly hardware and software solutions.
This is a good video, though.
We're in a generation where spreading awareness has become a lot easier. So with the rise of online educators, the internet, and large language models, we can ideally educate and spread awareness about any potential problems that might occur.
You might speak another language. No, I think he's British and he has, like a...
And this is why the advancement in AI, AR, and VR is all very, very exciting. Because it's not only going to change the way we game, but also the way we learn, work, and experience culture.
Education will change dramatically.
He's got a lisp, it's
From the
okay.
fact that you can simulate anything, which will help
We
to
haven't
deepen our
talked about it the whole
understanding of any
time. We don't
topic
need
we're
to
trying
now.
learn.
It's okay.
Then, of course, the boom in remote work we've seen following the pandemic will increase.
That's the one who
even
made fun
more.
of a guy clicking hotkeys and throwing a Liberty. Yeah, but they weren't producing content. They just put up a gameplay video, and I saw a crosshair go down to a hotbar and click it. By the way, they responded to my comment and said, "I'm still getting used to my rotation." I was like, uh-huh.
With virtual workspaces allowing us to do a lot of jobs without having to physically be there, which is a concept
Yeah, we already do that. We already do that shit. Is it still, because I haven't been in the working environment for a while, but is it still a lot of the people that were working from home from COVID are still working from home? Like, have they pulled everything back into the office yet because of productivity? Like, what's the general, not saying for your specific company, but if you're in tech, are they just is it just like way more work from home stuff now, period? I feel like it is.
Already seen with the metaverse. AI is obviously an incredible tool that can help teach us any subject that we're interested in, almost as if you're talking to a professional. In fact, GPT-5 from OpenAI is said to bring PhD level intelligence. To give you perspective, GPT-3 had similar intelligence to a
TechSide
toddler.
is failing mass layoffs. My building just got laid off, the entire building. Bungie laid off like 200 to 400 more employees today. I literally think all these layoffs are tied to AI. Via email an hour after work. They let you go today and via email an hour after work. They didn't even call you. They couldn't even give you a phone call, bro. My old company is scale.com, one of the government's big AI dudes. So wait, you were working on AI? Yeah, you got fired by AI, bro. %, you got fired by AI, dude. No one typed you an actual message, dude. They used AI to just replace everyone's name with the same fucking. Oh. That's wild, dude. I'm sorry, bro. That's crazy.
And GPT-4 could be compared to a smart high school student. So to jump up to PhD level, hopefully in only a year's time, will be an incredible leap in capability.
So wait, the way we're judging intelligence of AI is comparative to us in school? Ooh, I see a million issues with that. People get PhDs for having rich parents, dude. Like, just because someone fucking has a bunch of paperwork saying they're smart doesn't necessarily mean they're smart. It'll mean they're better educated most of the time, but like I bet you wouldn't be very hard pressed to find a bunch of stupid people with a bunch of credentials.
Using VR to
I did leave my one job due to layoff concerns, but it wasn't AI related, but they were pushing AI to avoid hiring more people. I mean, that's the writings on the wall there, right? If your company is literally like, instead of hiring more people, seeing like, how can we get AI to do this? You already know there's meetings going on where the big wigs are like, all right, so I want to fire all of these people. How can AI do their job? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is what you showed the public. Let me see what this is.
Today's military leaders face an unprecedented challenge in the sheer volume of information available to make decisions in rapidly evolving situations. Scale Donovan is the platform that allows analysts and operators to understand any part of the real world, from text to imagery, to make secure, smarter, and faster decisions in minutes instead of weeks. But models are only as good as the data that fuels them. Donovan is built on Scale's proprietary data engine, which powers the largest US technology companies and government AI programs. That's why Scale was selected by the White House to independently test the leading generative AI models for safety and reliability.
So what? The idea here is that they're testing the knowledge banks of these AI to make sure they're worth using. Is that it? This is what I did up until yesterday. Man, dude. Military AI. Yeah, that's definitely who I want with AI technology, is the fucking military, bro. The thing is, this is just like another arms race, right? But there's a corporation tech side to it, and then there's a military construct side to it. And it's obviously every country is doing the same type of shit, so it's not like this is particularly scary, right? It's Siri, but it can target a ship in the middle of the ocean if you ask it to. That's fucking horrifying. But I feel like in my head for the past 10 years, I've felt like if the military cared enough about someone, they could put a satellite on them and see them fart. I felt like that's been the case for a long time. You know?
Train astronauts and the military for decades, but with all of this tech advancing rapidly, the possibilities are only going to improve. However, alongside AI, there is another emerging technology that could revolutionize gaming. Even with the tech of the near future, we are still limited by how we interact with the game world. Our input still either requires physical movement or the use of a controller. But as we go further into the future, that all changes with the introduction of...
The company I'm driving for just ditched, I think, almost all of our dispatch workers for an AI bot last week and laid off 800 dispatch people. Yeah. All you got to worry about is once they get the fucking AI truck drivers, dude. And then what I have to worry about is when those AI truck drivers get mad and want to drive their AI trucks through my house. We're not that many decisions off from an apocalypse. Literally 2 board meetings away from the world being over at any day. It's actually crazy to think about. It's actually crazy to think about. And then on top of that, like if you have, yeah, but we'd all do the same thing in that position too, Morty. It's not like, it's not you making the decision. You got to pay your bills. But what scares me is like if enough people get their jobs replaced by AI and there's enough people not being able to make ends meet, and if enough people tell them just get another job and they can't, there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of aggression that they need to aim somewhere, dude. And I'm not saying everyone dispatching trucks is dumb or in a gun-toting rage. I'm not saying that. But, you know, the first jobs to get replaced by AI are the easier ones to automate, right? So we could argue on a grand scale, people getting replaced by AI are lower on the totem pole regarding, you know, not intelligence, but like how vital they are to a company and how many different decisions they have to make, blah, 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 whatever. Not trying to get too deep into that, but I am saying that if you get rid of enough angry, stupid people's jobs, they're going to fight back. And the fact that these companies think they can just keep replacing jobs with no repercussions. Like I could see truck drivers unionizing and being like, we're not going to drive for you because you got rid of all the people that made our jobs possible. But then again, you know what I mean? They got to pay their bills. So it's like everyone's up against the wall until the floor gets let out from underneath them. Right. So they need to implement universal basic income to replace the fact. And this is the thing, right? So say we replace enough jobs with AI that a lot of us don't need to work anymore. And we just get government income given to us, right? Is that a worse world? I don't have enough money to make the choices I want anyway right now. You know, I don't have enough financial freedom to go do whatever I want. I just don't. I would like to take more trips. I would like to do more things. I would like a house that I could own, but None of those are options, right? So it's like, if I get government income and I could do that stuff, I wouldn't be against it. But then the government's in control of you even more so. But I think what that is just the reality being brought to the front, because right now you're controlled by the government anyway, right? The reality is that if the government didn't like you enough, they could just freeze all your assets, all your accounts, all that shit, and they could just turn you the fuck off, right? But then this future we're looking at is like, you make a bad tweet and the government says we turned off your government income and you just die. That's some dystopian shit. That is some real dystopian shit. There was a movie I watched that was kind of like that. It was a really shitty sci-fi movie. It was like 2042 or what it was called. It was real weird, but it had some of this stuff in it. And I was like, damn, I could see this happening. And with AI replacing everything, it puts it closer and closer. Right, we can't even get affordable healthcare. Or they're gonna give us a check? It's crazy to think about.
Brain-computer interfaces into the world of gaming. So, let's take a look at how a future filled with brain implants could change the way we play games.
The problem in UBI would be funded with taxes. Government's already trillions in debt. With less people working, even less taxes, valid. But I think the idea of money just doesn't work. Right? I realistically think money is the root of most of the world's problems. Like you could backtrack most things to money being an issue. And so like, I'm okay with money being replaced by a new system. But the thing is, the people that have the most money are the people in power right now. And they don't want to get rid of that system. Right? And we're okay with it because we're not fucking millionaires and shit, but if I was a millionaire, I probably wouldn't want it either. You know what I mean? Call a spade a spade.
As well as how it could affect society as a whole. We'll also go into how this technology could take us into the realm of 5D gaming.
So, brain-computer interfaces have been around for over 50 years. To put it simply, it is a device that allows direct communication between your brain and an external device like a computer or your phone. It's a really exciting technology that has so many applications, like controlling an artificial limb, restoring vision, and of course what you're here for, controlling a game using nothing but your mind.
See, this is really cool to me. Like, I don't care about being able to control a video game with my brain unless it was like better than controlling it. Like it felt better than using my hands. But for people that literally, you know, are disabled and don't have the use of their limbs, being able to play video games with their brain is just like, that's amazing to me, dude. Like that is what the technology should be used for the most. He says it's way faster. That's crazy. He said it's like an aimbot. Oh, wow. That's crazy to think about. You just think about aiming it on their fucking head and it just goes right to it.
Now, we've seen this done before with electroencephalograms or EEGs. This tech uses electrodes that are placed on the head, which will then read the signal sent from your brain. It is currently extremely limited and in no way really that practical, but it's incredible how much we can already achieve.
Now, Neuralink is a company founded by Elon Musk that has been working on an efficient and powerful brain-computer interface, and so far they've made incredible progress. Meet
Really
Nolan
cool.
Darver, the first human to test the N1 chip. This chip is the size of a coin, with a total of 1,024 electrodes distributed across 64 threads, each thinner than a strand of hair.
Yeah, like I'm fine with like a little thing plugging into the top, but like I just can't handle like a full like USB thing in the back of my head. It's too much.
The threads are carefully placed by a robot and can be implanted anywhere depending on the intended purpose. Nolan had the chip implanted back in January and allows him to control a cursor using only his thoughts. Thanks to this, he's been able to play games again, from chess to Civilization
So cool.
and even Mario Kart. Now, it has had complications, most notably with a large number of the threads retracting, but they've since been able to change the way spikes in neurons are measured, making it function even better than it was before, despite only 15% of the threads remaining. They're also planning to implant an improved version on a second person by the time this video goes live, so it'd be cool to see how that goes. If you want to keep updated with Nolan, you can find him on Twitter. Oh, and don't forget neurons.
Bro, I love his fucking header or whatever that's so fucking his cover. That's so good, dude. I love his cover art, bro.
as well.
Now, even if Neuralink aren't the one,
He named his Twitter modded quad. Modded quad, dude. I love it, bro.
this tech to the level that we're really hoping for, to where we can use it in video games, there are plenty of other companies that are trying their hand in the EEGs or brain-computer interfaces. So there's no doubt that it's going to break its way into the gaming landscape at some point. And when it does, it's going to completely revolutionize.
Bro, you gotta have a sense of humor, man. If you want to make it through life and you've been dealt a hand like that, there's two outcomes. That either breaks you or you come out on the other end of that a fucking G, right? That's it. There's only two outcomes. You're either going to be a miserable sack of shit and let it break you, or you're going to come through on the other end better than anyone else. That's it.
Everything.
So let's take a look at how it currently controls games, as well as how it could in the future. Right now, there are two ways of controlling. First, you have attempted movement, which is when you actively try to think about moving your arm as if you're trying to move the cursor. Then there's imagined movement, which is a lot less intuitive, but allows the user to move the cursor simply by thinking. These are both currently possible, and the speed and accuracy is close to or greater than what is currently possible with the devices we use today. Think about it. Right now, if we're playing a shooter, our brain has to react to what it's seeing and send a signal to the arm to move the mouse. And then you have all the latency that occurs afterwards. But with this, the time it takes to react would be significantly shorter and would essentially give you aimbot.
That would
So
be
you'll
sick.
be able to play shooters like Call of Duty.
Yeah, that brings up another thing. Like, I basically have an aimbot in my head. So,
that's
crazy. Yeah, they'll probably have like different leagues for people like me because it's just not fair.
Wow, is it that accurate?
It's that accurate, and it's faster.
In the future, we'll see the speed.
That dude looks like a really fun dude to hang out with, bro. That dude's a solid fucking guy. You can tell.
Accuracy and overall capabilities get even better, opening up new and improved ways of controlling a game as naturally as breathing. There's also the advancement of bidirectional communication, which will allow for signals to not only be read, but also sent back, making it capable of stimulating our senses. You'd be able to feel the heat of the virtual sun, or smell the environment around you.
It's tricking your brain into smelling it, right? I don't want to feel the heat of the sun. Yeah, but like imagine you could though, bro. True, it's not tricking. It's actually that like it's the same yeah, you're right. This stuff is actually what I'm most worried about. Only rich people can afford implants to be super smart, and poor people will actually be impossibly disadvantaged forever. Right, altered carbon. I mean, that with capitalism, that's where it's going no matter what, dude, right? There's no like, you know, there's no way it's always going to the best technology, the coolest shit is always going to go to the most well-off people no matter what, right? It's just about whether it trickles down, if it's still worth our time or if the world's not fucked by the end of it. I don't think there's any other way it can go. At least currently.
This development in BCIs will be able to fool our senses into actually thinking that what we're smelling, tasting, and even looking at are all real. Therefore, replacing the need for VR and AR peripherals completely.
Crazy.
Now, in a future like this, the games you play will be so realistic that you can effectively live alternate lives. So I have one question for you. If you could live in any game, what would it be and why?
Yeah, but Zip, imagine you could walk your dogs in VR. You know what I'm saying?
This assumes you can go back and forth between realities, because with these advancements, you'd be able to. Unless, of course, we get a
I have
Sword
real
Art
dogs, but you could walk VR dogs.
Online situation. But personally, mine would be Black Desert Online. While this MMO is paid to win, and I don't really play it anymore, the world is so huge and there are so many different ways you can play that I'd happily be transported to that world. You can play the entire game as a farmer, a trader, a fisherman, or...
Yeah, imagine being in VR when you've set your trade caravan to auto loop for 20 hours so you can train your horses. That'd be a dope VR experience. Imagine doing VR and BDO while AFK fishing. Ooh, imagine doing VR and BDO when you log into your 8th alt to just fucking get a group invite for Vel and hope you get a Vel's heart, but you do it in VR.
You can choose the combat route and spend all your time grinding. Now imagine you can do all of this, but you're actually experiencing all of it yourself rather than through the character that you're controlling. This technology reminds me of that game Morty plays, where he lives the life of someone named Roy. From childhood up to death, he experiences an entire lifetime of events in no time at all. This really makes you wonder what it would be like when we reach the capability of creating such realistic games. Will it be possible to mess with the way people perceive time? Well, personally, I have no idea, but there's no doubt that new genres are going to be created as a result of all this advancement. Games could leverage AI.
Imagine you're at a BDO siege and everyone's desyncing and warping and it looks like hammered shit, but it's in VR. It'd be a little bit cooler.
And the BCI to change dynamically based on your emotions. Imagine a horror game that knows when to scare you based on how scared you're feeling in the moment, similar to that episode of Black Mirror playtest.
I can't see heart attacks coming from that at all. Hey, his blood pressure's really high and his heart rate's really high. Give him a jump scare. Like it just knows you're freaked out and it's just like jump scare. Like
we could have the level of difficulty raised based on how difficult we're finding it, providing us with heavily personalized experiences. We could also use...
I don't think I would ever play a horror game that could tell if I was freaked out. I don't think I would do that. I just... Fuck that, dude.
This technology
that's horrifying that it could know when to scare me.
to help train our cognitive functions, where games require high levels of focus and control, and we're given real-time feedback. Multiplayer games could change drastically as we become capable of...
Imagine eating soup in Skyrim and never getting off because you can just taste the soup in game and you die IRL of hunger. Right. But imagine you go on a keto diet and in your video games, you eat a bunch of non-keto food that makes it easier to maintain your actual state of ketosis in real life. See what I'm saying? There's always a good and a bad.
Telepathic communication, where we directly share our thoughts and emotions rather than trying to put them into words.
Alright, so it's important to note that while we will likely see this technology in our lifetimes, early on at the very least, it's going to be used to help people with disabilities. After that though, it's going to be rolled out to the general public with the aim of improving human capabilities and bridging the gap between humans and...
Speaking of food, have you guys heard of Factor? Oh boy, let me tell you. Can you click on that link real quick? Click on that link in the chat. What is it? It's a meal service. Hold your applause. It's a meal service. They have keto friendly, pescatarian, flexitarian, your mamatarian, your dadatarian, whatever you're into, there's a tarian for it and they carry it. Got a great sale going on right now, 50% off. I highly recommend you sign up via my link for 50% off and then promptly cancel it just to see if you like it. Okay? How long does a factory meal take to make? Very easy. You just microwave it.
Oh my boy, you on X game mode.
Are you a lazy piece of shit who fucking sucks at cooking because you don't have a fucking proper mom? Well, factors for you.
AI.
No, I should thank you for the
The
prime.
impact brain-compute interfaces and artificial intelligence will have, not only on gaming, but as society as a whole, is bigger than what we've seen with the internet, which is saying a lot. The internet has transformed every aspect of life, allowing
All
for
of the
global
meals are
connectivity and
exactly
giving
2
anyone who can
minutes.
use it the ability
Not
to
a
access
second
effectively
more.
all the information in the world. Communication will be instant. The way we learn and process new information will be significantly enhanced, and our healthcare capabilities will improve to the point of making us immune.
Oh, good.
from
I got
most
an ad to
diseases.
block his ad.
However, there are obviously a lot of concerns that come with such a big change. Ethically, how will all of these be regulated? Is it going to create a class divide of people who can and can't afford it? And if it does, how will this impact society as a whole? There's also a number of privacy concerns, with the idea that we're essentially making all of the information in our brain available to any potential hackers that might want it.
Yeah, that's
Of course, new
concerning.
mental health issues could spawn. And over time, as this technology becomes more and more ubiquitous, will it ultimately end up being beneficial or harmful?
Personally, I believe these are all things that can be taken into consideration. We had all of these issues and concerns with the internet, and while things like mental health and privacy are kind of still issues that we're facing, it hasn't really outweighed the positives that the internet has provided us.
I'm optimistic that this technology would make gaming much more accessible to significantly more people than it already is. And as we create new ways to learn skills and ways of connecting with other people using our thoughts and emotions, we're bound to see innovation in every area of our lives.
But let's save all of that for another video. For now, I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about the future of gaming. So if there's any predictions or anything like this that I might have left out, comment down below and we can just have a little talk about it. Otherwise, I've left a link in the description to all the videos and all the websites that I referenced, so check those out if you need to. Otherwise, until next time, thanks for watching.
Okay, stop doing the finger guns, bro. That was a good video. That was great. That was a really good video. Don't be jealous you can't finger gun like him.